Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so incredibly pumped to share this brand new explainer with you today. We're going to completely unpack one of the most brilliant, literally game-changing pieces of everyday engineering you will ever lay eyes on, the front-wheel drive manual transmission. Now look, I know manuals are kind of getting rare in brand new cars, but millions of these exact units are still out there working hard in older cars, commercial rigs, and for sure in racing. It's an absolute mechanical marvel, and by the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how the whole shebang works.
So to kick things off, let's think about a fundamental mechanical mystery. An engine crankshaft, it's always spinning as long as that car is running, but obviously our wheels aren't always spinning. We got to stop at red lights, right? So how exactly do we disconnect that wildly spinning engine from the wheels without just killing the engine completely? Well, the answer is the clutch. It's the absolute vital bridge that solves this exact problem, and it's exactly where our journey begins today.
Okay, let's dive right into our power journey. We'll be following kinetic energy exactly as it travels through 1. The clutch connection. 2. Inside the gearbox. 3. The magic of synchronization. 4. Translating driver input. And finally, 5. Reverse, neutral, and oil.
Number 1. The clutch connection.
Let's start right at the very front of the system. This entire assembly is securely bolted to the engine's flywheel, which means, yeah, it is constantly spinning. We've got what I like to call the clutch sandwich. Now, you might think the transmission input shaft plugs directly into the engine, but actually, it doesn't. Instead, connecting to the engine's power relies on this sliding friction disc, or clutch plate, sandwiched super tightly between the spinning flywheel and a movable pressure disc. The friction disc is splined to the transmission input shaft, but it can actually slide back and forth. When you let your foot off the clutch pedal, that movable pressure disc gradually squeezes everything together, and bam, you've got a smooth, solid connection to the engine's power.
But think about it. Bringing a heavy, totally stationary vehicle up to engine speed is not exactly a gentle task. So how is it not incredibly jerky? Well, the friction disc actually floats on the transmission input shaft. Power flows from the disc right through these heavy-duty damping springs, which then push against a rotating top plate that's splined to the shaft. Honestly, these springs are the unsung heroes here. They continuously compress and expand to just soak up vibrations and any potentially harmful power spikes. They make sure the delivery of all that kinetic energy feels completely smooth to you sitting in the driver's seat.
Okay, so let's see what happens when you actually want to disconnect that power. When you press the clutch pedal, fluid from a little reservoir drives a hydraulic actuator right on the transmission case. This actuator pushes a clutch fork, which basically acts as a lever pivoting on the case itself. The fork then shoves a throwout bearing squarely into the center of a really strong diaphragm spring. When those inner prongs of the spring get pushed in, the spring pivots on its hooks and leaf springs and its outer edge lifts right up. And guess what? That outer edge is what's holding the pressure plate. So lifting it relieves the squeeze on our sandwich, and just like that, the transmission is completely disconnected from the engine.
Section 2. Inside the gearbox.
All right, now that we know how power enters the transmission, it's time to venture a bit further down our power journey into the main gearbox casing. So the crucial point here is this concept of constant mesh. A lot of people picture shifting gears as literally taking one gear, ripping it away, and smashing it into another gear. Actually, scratch that. It's not like that at all. In a constant mesh transmission, the speed gears are literally always linked and always touching each other. They use these diagonal or helical cut teeth, which makes their operation incredibly quiet. But wait, if they're always touching, how on earth do we actually change speeds? Hold that thought, because that is the central mystery we're about to solve.
First though, let's briefly trace the physical path the energy takes once it's actually in the gearbox. Engine power flows from the clutch directly into the main shaft. It then meshes with gears on the countershaft. From there, it flows out to the differential assembly and finally pushes straight out through the front axles to turn your wheels. It's just a beautifully sequential physical path.
Number 3. The magic of synchronization.
We've reached the absolute climax of our mechanical journey. Seriously, how do we lock these constantly touching gears to the shaft while everything is spinning at literally thousands of RPMs, all without grinding the metal into dust? To make shifting possible at all, the constant mesh design uses a super clever trick. In every single gear set, one gear is machined directly into its shaft, but the other gear, it just floats freely on a roller bearing. It's just spinning wildly, not actually turning its shaft at all. To get power out of that gear, we have to securely lock that freely floating gear to its shaft using a piece called a synchronizer hub, which is permanently rotating with the shaft. Here's exactly how that locking happens in 4 brilliant steps. First, sliding rods and selector forks move a shift sleeve that rides on the outside of the synchronizer hub. As that sleeve moves toward the gear you want, it pushes these little internal keys. Step 2, those keys press a brass blocker ring right against the floating gear. Step 3, friction starts to build between the blocker ring and the gear, matching their rotational speeds. Finally, once the speeds match perfectly, the sleeve slides completely over the blocker ring and physically locks right into the angled teeth on the gear itself.
Now notice there are exactly 3 spring-loaded synchronizer keys situated inside the slots of the hub. These 3 little keys are absolutely critical because they spin the blocker ring, but they allow just enough play or wiggle room so the blocker ring can adjust its alignment on the fly as the teeth of that fast-approaching shift sleeve get near.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. The blocker ring acts exactly like a miniature clutch for that specific gear. See, the blocker ring has this conical inside surface covered in tiny ridges. The floating gear has a matching cone-shaped surface. When those 3 keys press the blocker ring onto the gear, those cones wedge together. The friction ramps up fast, dragging the free spinning gear to the exact same speed as the shaft. Once the speeds perfectly match, the keys have done their job. They're spring-loaded, right? So they just push down out of the way, allowing the shift sleeve to glide smoothly across and lock the gear solid. No grinding, just perfect synchronized mechanical harmony.
Section 4, translating driver input.
Okay, we've seen the micro level. Now let's zoom all the way out to the driver's seat. How does wiggling a stick with your right hand perfectly orchestrate these complex forks, sleeves, and blocker rings deep inside a sealed metal box? Well, when you move the stick shift, you're operating on 2 distinct axes of movement, side to side and up and down. The shift lever in your car actually rides on a ball joint that allows this. Inside a modern 6-speed transmission, there are 3 distinct selector forks and rods, with first and second gears actually operating from the output shaft. So, moving the stick side to side selects which of the 3 forks you want to talk to, and pushing forward or backward pushes that specific fork right into the gear you want.
To actually connect your hand to the gearbox, modern cars use cables. They work almost exactly like heavy-duty bicycle brake cables. You've got 2 cables, one for each axis of movement. These cables snake all the way through the car and attach to a rod protruding from the transmission case. This rod connects to a shift change assembly that swings side to pick a rod and then uses a metal tab to push the fork forward or backward. Think about that for a second. You are physically manually pushing those synchronizer sleeves into place with the power of your own arm. How cool is that?
Finally, Section 5, reverse, neutral, and oil.
To wrap up our explainer today, we need to quickly look at the special cases. You know, the elements that completely break the standard rules we just spent all this time learning. First up, let's talk about reverse. You know that super distinctive whining sound a car makes when backing up? That happens because reverse gear completely breaks the rules. Unlike the quiet, angled, constant mesh forward gears we just looked at, reverse uses gears with straight-cut teeth. Furthermore, reverse has absolutely 0 synchronization components. No way can you smoothly slide into it while moving. You have to bring the car to a complete, dead stop, at which point your shift linkage physically meshes a 3rd idler gear between the shafts, and that reverses the direction of the final output.
Then, of course, there's neutral. It is basically a state of mechanical limbo. In neutral, if you take your foot off the clutch pedal, which means the clutch is engaged against the flywheel, engine power is flowing fully into the transmission. The main shaft is in there spinning rapidly, but because your shift stick is right in the middle, no shift sleeve has locked onto any floating gear. Everything is just free spinning inside, and absolutely 0 power flows out to the wheels.
Now, with all this metal spinning at ridiculously high speeds, heat and friction are absolutely the enemy. But the sheer simplicity of the system here is just brilliant. Splash lubrication. There's no complex oil pump, there's no oil filter, a pool of oil simply rests right at the bottom of the sealed transmission case. As the gears rapidly spin, they literally scoop up the oil and violently splash it everywhere inside the case, thoroughly coating every single bearing, synchronizer, and gear tooth in protective fluid. It's brilliantly simple and virtually fail-proof.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Look, we live surrounded by touchscreens, algorithms, and drive-by-wire computer systems. But a manual transmission, it is wonderfully, strictly physical. When you shift a gear, your hand is moving a cable, pushing a fork, dragging a brass ring onto a cone, and meshing solid steel teeth together. Isn't there something profoundly beautiful about understanding and really mastering such a purely analog machine? It's this direct, tactile connection between you and the physics of motion. I really hope you walk away from this explainer today feeling a little bit of that awe for the engineering hiding right beneath the floorboards. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep asking questions about how your world works.